Hello, everyone. Hope all is well. Interesting day on the market. Mixed bag from my sentiment early this morning before open. So, SPY was a little slow this morning. QQQ um, continued with its breakout, which is nice. If you compare QQQ to SPY during that time period of where the sequence is, you'll notice that Triple Q, I don't want to keep saying QQQ. Triple Q didn't make a new low like SPY did and was just a lot stronger. It was this period here. So SPY in this instance went, if this was SPY, it went down, but Triple Q is just stronger. So I'm not surprised to see it breaking out the way that it is now. The only thing that's interesting about this is, well, SPY is the real measurement here, because the sequence on SPY is all-time highs, but there's no real um, clear level to watch for on Triple Q. So if you want to play Triple Q, that is, I got nothing to say. It's just basically like um, when SPY hits 470, I guess, then go puts on Triple Q. But because Q is stronger, you don't know if it's actually going to complete the same way it did in the past. Like, it could just come down here to, um, this target, this first drop target, and then just continuously run like it did in the past, whereas SPY will bounce and then come back down. So, you know, for me personally, I'm just gonna play SPY and then try again with these small caps, man. MVIS, yeah, it took the bearish path today on the open. As soon as I saw this candle, I was like, well, it is what it is. Cut 75% of my calls. I liked where SPY was going. I liked how strong it was. I entered in calls on this red candle. Yep, held through it. Nice, worked out. Took a little bit of profit. I liked where AMC was at the end of the day. And I got into calls basically around this area. I can't remember exactly. But then they had a news drop in the after hours, which is neither bearish or bullish. Calls to spike up because it's news. But basically, they completed their share offering of 350 million, but they only cleared 60 million of debt. So, tell me how that works out, because it just this company, man, I swear to God. So, it's just algorithmic, right? I don't really care about fundamentals on AMC. Whatever it takes to get the algorithm to do what it needs to do, that's what I care about. So, I'm confident that that my calls will give me something. Hopefully, I can make a comeback from when I last tried calls here. And we should see. I would honestly like to see like a 15% green day tomorrow, and then top it off on Fed day. Or maybe we just see like a 30% gainer tomorrow, because that would make so much sense for Fed, because no small cap should honestly run on Fed if you think about it, right? Like, it's just going to be chop until decision time and then it drops. So it's like, what if AMC really does push some limits here and goes to like 9 tomorrow, and the share offering is like, maybe the news isn't doing anything right now because that'll skew option pricing, so they're just keeping it's just being silenced right now, and then tomorrow we'll just get a big run up. That would just be amazing for me. Um, but we have to wait and see. GameStop would probably have to do the same thing, and it looked really weak today. I was a little nervous about it because there is a point in the fractal. If I go back, I'm gonna move some stuff here. So this is kind of where I think we're at with GameStop. And we could be, I mean, I'm just based off of where SPY is, right? I'm thinking that we're in this this period here, and we might just be playing out, you know, any of these pullbacks before we get this top wick. But at the same time, right, we also could be seeing this, right? So just a little mutated. And so it's possible that it comes down a little bit more and then just like a 30% gainer on Fed. Just, it still doesn't make any sense because nothing, like I said in the previous video, nothing should win after Fed. Like calls should just get obliterated across the whole market. Unless of course you have, you know, gold or mines or whatever, you know, what you usually go into when the market's bearish. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Watch futures on the open. What I like to do is before, if I'm up really early in the morning, like I did the video today, just if we get any gap down on futures, which we probably will, because there's just been a lot of pullbacks going on here, you know, to set up for the bullish bias. So, you know, any pullbacks that we see here, if there's 1 minute gaps, then you should, you know, have confidence that CPI, or I guess tomorrow will do well. And you can see what happened when price came up to fill this 1 minute gap. First off, it came up to fill it, and it's one of those things where, you know, there were so many cent gaps down, you know, during this downtrend that it's like this. I mean, it rarely happens. I look at it almost every day, and I never see this many go unfilled for too long. So it depends on how many there are, and it depends on how they're positioned relative to the open. But I'm still trying to figure out the meaning of the cent gap thing. But honestly, it looks good. There's really not a lot to go into here. Pay attention to Bitcoin. It came back down a little bit, as I imagined. I think that Bitcoin is going to start its descent, and I think crypto should suffer a little bit. People that are close to me, they still want to ride it up. They still believe in it, but it's very possible. I mean, 47.4-ish would be my top limit, but hey, I've always noticed Bitcoin makes moves quicker than the market, so I think this is some behind the scenes knowledge occurring here. Oh God. Mike has been giving me issues today. Hopefully that's better. So yeah, let's see how Bitcoin does into CPI. I actually am curious. The last one was on the 14th. So you can see actually on the last CPI, price went down. So it's possible that a bullish report here, or bullish sentiment, or whatever, regardless of what the report is, right? Yeah, Bitcoin could come down again, and it could. I mean, I see it. I'm a big bear on Bitcoin. I don't think anyone should ever invest in this. I think it's just, especially at this price. I mean, if you're able to get into it down here, yeah, that's great. But I'm not spending 40K on anything. So, or buying anything priced at 40K. So I'm a big believer in like sub 10K Bitcoin, and that's where it should always be. You know, come down like this, and just, you know, kind of tread the waters for years. You know, wait for Wait for something to give this thing meaning. But we need a big green day tomorrow. This time, like everything, like small caps don't have a lot of time to pressure the long side, so I'm pretty sure MVIS is just gonna. I expected after how scary the drop was this morning for it to come down even more. You know, retest this level here, and then tomorrow off of market sentiment come back up. But you know, if the squeeze is still on the table, then it has to retest 2.8 or get above it. So, and with how, you know, my price target on Bitcoin, I mean, not on Bitcoin, sorry, on GameStop is 20, which is about a 30% move. Really crazy. I can't believe I'm saying that can happen in a day or two. But if, you know, MVIS, GameStop, AMC on the same meme basket, so, you know, if AMC has a 20%er, GameStop could have could have the same thing. Well, actually, where's 30% on AMC? That's like into the 9 ranges, which is what I originally had. So I would like to see AMC come up to 9, maybe hit this trend. That would just be, oh, that would just be so perfect. It'd be so algorithmically perfect, man. Because then it just dies, and then it just replays kind of like what it did up here, right? It just kind of like replays this. It's not going to be following the same microstructure, but the fact that this happens on the stock, it would just line up so perfectly, and it would be great. But it never goes my way. So, at least a little bit of green tomorrow is what I'd like to see on memes. So tomorrow is going to be so interesting, and I'm kind of surprising how SPY was even up a good amount when all the major boys were kind of suffering a little bit here. I mean, Meta, Nvidia, Tesla, Google, Apple, Amazon. Look at this drop, and then you look at SPY and it's up. What? You got Berkshire carrying this shit? I don't know. But I mean, this is great entry point for calls here. So if anyone was able to get in on this, they're probably sitting very comfortable. But you have to keep in mind, right, that we got some headwinds coming here, right? There's going to be a lot of mental traps here, because the last CPI event we got a 1% candle, right? And that would put us above all-time high. And the sequence is when it hits all-time high, it becomes bearish, right? So it could hit 467.14 and then it could die, logically speaking. However, the only reason I've been saying 470 is because there were some people on the internet that were showing charts of a dark pool candle, like on the chart itself, like on the daily, like it actually showed on the daily of a candle that just went up to 474, and then it was gone in 2 minutes, right? So I just think, I like the 470 range because, your 480 is just, it's too extended. It just doesn't really, there's a flow to it, you know what I mean? And it just doesn't really match with the flow. And so I wouldn't be surprised if CPI gets us a 1%er over the all-time high, and then we chop the whole day, maybe like, I think after CPI release, here's what I'm thinking, right? because this happened the last one, and I got scared, and I could have taken more profit, but the last one, it came up pretty high on the open, right? And then it got above a critical level, and then it like dug down like this, right? And then it came back up, and then it just kind of like went like this, and then it just like scared the heck out of people, right? So this is something that we got to keep in mind, right? And I mean, yeah, there's so many possibilities, right? It's a no-brainer, but I think there's definitely I think 470 is definitely a solid target. Um, but it all really comes down to Fed, right? So if we hit 470 before Fed, then I am not going to wait for a spike up, and I will enter in puts right before the meeting. And because if you really think about it, right, if the sequence has all-time high and we have the Fed being a really big news event, well, it would make sense to me for us to hit pretty high numbers here, create the sentiment trap, 470 off of CPI, wow. And then, it kind of just like does this chop thing, maybe makes a newer high, 472, whatever. And then Fed comes out and like there's no time for spiking. It just starts falling, right? Like crazy. So I'm thinking if depending on how CPI goes, think outside the box a little bit. Keep in mind of the 470s. Even if because usually it does spike up on FOMC. So I'm not trying to deter anyone here, but for me, I think what I'll do is even if it does spike up, or even if we hit 470, and then I'll go into puts at 470 if we hit it before Fed, and then even if there's a spike up and my calls or my puts are minus 80%, I'm still gonna hold, and I'm not gonna do 0 TT. I'll probably do 1 day out, and I'm expecting. I mean, the sequence has a new low, right? So from 474 to, I mean, it's, you got about 14% drop from the top here, okay? And that could take 1 to 3 months. I don't know, right? So you got to imagine, at least how I see it, is this is a top, right? This is the top structure, and it began. If you go to my 1 minute to 1 hour scaling, you'll see kind of where it began, I think. But I think that this top here, right, on the first, I think that marked the last top, and then that these micro movements were playing out the last run up, right? So, in the past, it completely retraces this structure. So, it should come from 474 right to 453, and then, it kind of just goes sideways and then drops really hard. And it just looks really awkward. Doesn't look like it doesn't look fun at all, but I mean, we've seen things like this play out before, like with how weird this drop was, right? Like this was weird. I think that's probably it. Yeah, that's like the weirdest one. Like this whole structure here was just weird, this climb up. And so, we could get some scary stuff like that. And that's kind of what I'm expecting here. And puts have been suffering. I think they're going to win, and they're going to win in a big way. So overall, we got a little bit of bullishness left. Just keeping up with the pace. Watch futures. Watch small caps. We need green across the board tomorrow. And hopefully the green days are major, because small caps logically should go sideways until Fed decision after the spike up. So they should make their move tomorrow. and the high of all small caps should come in tomorrow, and then Fed is where they chop and then they drop to make their spring, and that will take a while. So I hope you guys are positioned well. I hope you guys are doing well in your trades and whatnot. And until next time, peace.